It's early morning. The world is still quiet, and a warm cup of green tea sits in your hands. The steam rises slowly, carrying an aroma that feels both ancient and familiar. Most people sip this drink for comfort, for ritual, for the simple pleasure of beginning the day gently. But inside that cup is something far more powerful than most realize. A molecule called EGCG, a plant compound with a surprisingly profound effect on your body, especially your heart and brain. When you take a sip, you're not just drinking tea, you're delivering into your cells a natural defender that has been studied by scientists for decades. What makes this molecule so interesting is that it operates silently. There's no surge of energy, no sudden shift in mood, no obvious sensation that anything is happening. And yet, inside your vessels, tissues, and cells, biochemical changes are quietly unfolding. The first thing many researchers noticed about EGCG was its extraordinary antioxidant capacity. Antioxidants aren't magic, but they do play a real biological role. They help neutralize unstable molecules called free radicals that can damage blood vessels and brain cells over time. Imagine your arteries as flexible highways delivering nutrients and oxygen to every organ. Now imagine small sparks hitting those highways nonstop. Over time, without enough protection, those sparks can create dents, scratches, inflammation. EGCG steps in like a fireproof shield. But EGCG doesn't just neutralize damage, it also influences how your body manages inflammation. Chronic inflammation isn't like the short-term swelling that happens when you sprain your ankle. It's more like a slow-burning fire that you don't see or feel until it's already caused harm. The heart, in particular, is vulnerable to this kind of hidden inflammation. It can stiffen arteries, encourage plaque formation, and weaken the delicate lining that controls blood flow. EGCG has shown in laboratory and clinical studies that it can help calm some of these inflammatory pathways, making it easier for your blood vessels to stay flexible and responsive. Another fascinating aspect of EGCG is its connection to angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels. Most people never think about blood vessel growth, yet it's one of the most important systems in the body. Your heart relies on healthy vessel growth for repair and resilience. Your brain relies on blood vessels for oxygen, memory function, and mental clarity. Too much vessel growth in the wrong places, however, can fuel disease. Too little can stunt healing. EGCG appears to help your body maintain balance, encouraging vessel health while restricting excessive growth that shouldn't be there. That's one reason why Dr. William Li often speaks about foods that help the body defend itself. While scientists were studying these effects, another question emerged: how does EGCG influence the brain? When you look at a cup of tea, you don't expect it to have any connection to memory, focus, or long-term brain health. But the compounds inside green tea are able to cross into areas of the brain where they interact with neurons, synapses, and glial cells. Researchers found that EGCG not only protects brain cells from oxidative stress, but may also promote healthier communication between neurons. The result isn't something dramatic that you notice right away. It's more like long-term maintenance. There's a beautiful connection between the heart and brain. The healthier the heart, the stronger the blood flow to the brain. And the healthier the brain, the better it regulates stress, appetite, and sleep, factors that influence heart health in return. EGCG sits right at the intersection of these systems. When you drink green tea regularly, even in modest amounts, you're supporting a cycle of wellness that connects your cardiovascular system to your cognitive well-being. But all of this science leads to one simple realization: the choices we make every day, what we eat, what we drink, become the raw materials that shape our future health. Green tea is not a miracle cure. No food is. But it is one of the clearest examples of how a natural compound can meaningfully support the body. The fact that something so gentle, so ordinary, can have such measurable effects is a reminder of how deeply interconnected humans are with plants, with chemistry, with ancient traditions. As we dive deeper, you'll see how one molecule, EGCG, interacts with your physiology in ways that scientists once thought only synthetic drugs could achieve. You'll see how this compound supports the heart, nourishes the brain, and helps the body stay in balance. And by the end, you'll understand why a simple cup of green tea has held the fascination of healers, monks, and doctors for centuries. But before we go deeper into the science, imagine taking another sip of that tea. Feel its warmth. Think about its journey from mountain fields to tea leaves to your cup. And now imagine the journey it's about to take inside your body, where a cascade of subtle, powerful biochemical changes is quietly beginning. This is the story of EGCG, and it begins with a single sip. The heart is a remarkable engine. It pumps tirelessly day and night for as long as we live. Most of the time, we forget it's even there, beating, adjusting, delivering life to every cell. But inside this engine is a system so delicate that the smallest change in blood vessel health, inflammation, or cholesterol balance can alter the way the heart performs. And this is where EGCG begins to reveal its true strength. To understand how EGCG helps the heart, imagine the inside of a blood vessel. Most people picture a hollow tube, but in reality, the inner lining is alive. It's covered by a thin layer of endothelial cells, microscopic guardians that sense blood pressure, manage inflammation, regulate clotting, and release nitric oxide to keep blood vessels relaxed. When these cells are healthy, blood flows smoothly. When they're damaged, the risk of plaque buildup, stiffening, and blockages rises dramatically. EGCG interacts with this inner lining in a surprisingly supportive way. When scientists examined endothelial cells exposed to oxidative stress, they found that EGCG could reduce the damage and restore healthier function. If inflammation is the rust that weakens blood vessels over time, EGCG acts like a gentle solvent that slows the rusting process. It doesn't repair everything, nothing does, but it supports the pathways that keep vessels flexible, reactive, and open. One of the most compelling areas of research on EGCG relates to how it influences cholesterol metabolism. Cholesterol itself isn't the enemy, your body needs it. What matters is how it's packaged and transported through the bloodstream. Low-density lipoprotein, LDL, becomes harmful when it oxidizes, forming particles that stick to vessel walls. Think of those oxidized particles like sticky dust that clings to a surface and hardens into plaque. EGCG appears to make LDL particles less likely to oxidize, which means they become less likely to stick. This subtle shift can have a meaningful impact over years and decades. At the same time, EGCG may slightly support increases in HDL, the cleanup crew of the bloodstream that helps remove cholesterol from vessel walls and transport it back to the liver. Even small improvements in this balance can shift the long-term trajectory of heart health. It's never about dramatic changes from one cup of tea. It's about consistent support, day by day, sip by sip. Inflammation is another area where EGCG shows its strength. Chronic inflammation is like a silent pressure on the cardiovascular system. You don't feel it the way you feel a fever or a sprain, but it slowly changes the environment inside arteries. Molecules that promote inflammation begin to circulate more frequently. Immune cells start to behave more aggressively. Blood vessels thicken, stiffen, or become less responsive. Over time, this creates the perfect storm for heart disease. EGCG doesn't shut off inflammation entirely. Nothing natural or safe does. Instead, it gently helps regulate some of the pathways that control inflammatory responses. It signals the body to calm down when the inflammatory switch has been left on for too long. In studies where participants drank green tea daily over weeks or months, markers of inflammation such as CRP tended to drift downward, sometimes modestly, but consistently. Again, the power lies in maintenance. Most people don't realize how much the heart appreciates tiny daily nudges toward balance. But perhaps the most fascinating contribution of EGCG to heart health is its relationship with angiogenesis, the process of growing new blood vessels. Healthy angiogenesis is essential for the heart. After exercise, tiny vessel networks expand to deliver more oxygen-rich blood. After small injuries, new vessels form to restore damaged tissue, but unchecked angiogenesis can feed diseases. Tumors, for example, rely on excessive vessel growth to steal nutrients. EGCG appears to help the body regulate this process. It doesn't shut off angiogenesis, it helps guide it. In healthy tissue, EGCG can support the maintenance of normal vessel growth. In abnormal tissue, such as in pathological angiogenesis, it can help quiet the signals that encourage excess vessel formation. This selective influence is one reason why EGCG is so unique among natural compounds. It behaves almost like a molecular traffic controller, encouraging the flow where needed, stopping it where it doesn't belong. Now consider what this means for your heart. The heart is a muscle that constantly remodels itself based on demand. When you walk up a hill, when you take a deep breath, when you manage stress better, you're shaping your cardiovascular system. Adding EGCG into that environment through daily green tea consumption creates a more favorable internal chemistry. Blood vessels stay more elastic. Endothelial cells remain more resilient. Inflammatory triggers calm down. LDL particles become less harmful. HDL works a bit more efficiently. Angiogenesis stays balanced. None of these effects are overwhelming on their own, but together they create a landscape where the heart can thrive. One of the often overlooked aspects of green tea's effect on the heart is how it influences blood pressure. High blood pressure is a subtle, almost invisible threat. Many people walk around unaware they're living with it. Research has shown that regular green tea intake can modestly reduce systolic and diastolic pressure, likely due to improved vessel relaxation and endothelial health. A reduction of even a few points can dramatically lower long-term risk. EGCG is not a substitute for medication, but it's a supportive ally in a lifestyle aimed at protecting the heart. There's also the rhythm of the heart to consider. Stress, sleep deprivation, and inflammation can all influence heart rate variability, a measure of how adaptable your heart is. While EGCG isn't a direct rhythm control compound, its calming influence on inflammation and oxidative stress contributes to an internal environment that supports a more stable rhythm. When your heart is less burdened by inflammatory signals and oxidative damage, it can respond more gracefully to the demands of daily life. All of this science leads to a simple truth. The heart thrives on consistency. It doesn't need perfection. It needs habits. And adding 1 cup of green tea per day, or 2 or 3, becomes one of the simplest protective habits a person can adopt. Think of it as quiet reinforcement. Most people never get to feel what's happening inside their arteries, but the body feels it. Your vessels respond, your cells respond, your heart responds, and these changes accumulate. They build. Over weeks and months, the difference becomes meaningful. A little less oxidation, a little less inflammation, a little more endothelial resilience, a little more balanced cholesterol, a little more vascular flexibility. When combined with movement, sleep, hydration, and stress management, EGCG becomes part of a symphony of small habits that protect the heart more effectively than any single action ever could. In the next chapter, we'll explore how this same molecule travels beyond the heart, upward into the brain, where oxygen delivery, blood vessel health, and inflammation all intersect with the way we think, remember, and stay mentally sharp. If the heart benefits from EGCG's quiet support, the brain may appreciate it even more. The brain is the most intricate organ we possess, an elegant network of nearly 100 billion neurons, each sending electrical signals through pathways that allow us to think, remember, learn, hope, and feel. Despite its immense power, the brain is also extraordinarily vulnerable. It depends on a steady supply of oxygen-rich blood, balanced inflammation, stable energy production, and cellular protection. And this is where EGCG, the molecule from a simple cup of green tea, begins to reveal another dimension of its influence. Imagine blood flowing upward from the heart to the brain. With every beat, oxygen is delivered to billions of cells that fire electrical impulses in rapid succession. This oxygen supply is non-negotiable. Even a few seconds of disruption can cause harm. EGCG supports the vessels that carry this oxygen. By helping maintain endothelial health and blood vessel flexibility, it ensures smoother circulation to the brain. It is a silent partnership. The molecule supports the vessels, and the vessels support the neurons. But EGCG's role goes deeper than blood flow. Inside the brain, cells face constant stress from metabolic activity. Thinking, learning, and memory formation all generate oxidative byproducts. Over time, if these byproducts accumulate, they can damage delicate neural structures. EGCG, with its strong antioxidant capacity, helps neutralize these harmful molecules before they disrupt communication between neurons. This protection isn't dramatic or instantaneous. It's more like shielding your memory from microscopic wear and tear that accumulates over years. Another key area where EGCG shines is in maintaining the health of synapses, the tiny gaps where neurons communicate with chemical messengers. Memory depends on strong synapses. Focus depends on stable signaling. Creativity depends on the brain freely connecting ideas through these networks. Oxidative stress and inflammation can weaken synapses, making communication slower or less efficient. EGCG helps preserve the proteins and receptors that keep synapses stable and responsive. Inflammation in the brain is a concept few people think about. We often imagine swelling or pain in other parts of the body, but in the brain, inflammation works differently. Specialized immune cells called microglia patrol neural tissue, cleaning up debris and responding to injury. When balanced, microglia are protective. But when they become overactive due to stress, lack of sleep, toxins, or chronic inflammation in the body, they can produce inflammatory molecules that damage neurons over time. EGCG has been shown to calm overactive microglia, encouraging them to return to a balanced, protective state. This is crucial because chronic neuroinflammation has been linked to cognitive decline, memory loss, and even mood disorders. Imagine the brain as a bustling city. Microglia are the maintenance workers, ensuring the streets stay clean and functional. EGCG helps those workers do their job without overreacting and tearing up the roads. There's also growing research on how EGCG influences neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and reorganize itself. Neuroplasticity is the foundation of learning. Every new skill, memory, and insight you gain is built on this ability. Studies suggest that EGCG may help enhance the expression of certain growth factors related to neuroplasticity, making it easier for the brain to adapt and grow. While EGCG is not a stimulant like caffeine, it supports the long-term architecture of the brain. One of the most intriguing effects of EGCG relates to stress. The brain is constantly responding to signals from the body, hormones, stress molecules, neurotransmitters. When stress is chronic, cortisol and inflammatory mediators can disrupt neural pathways, particularly in the hippocampus, the region responsible for forming memories. While EGCG doesn't block stress, it helps create an internal environment that's more resistant to its damaging effects. By lowering oxidative stress and calming inflammation, EGCG helps protect the brain's structure from long-term stress-related wear. In this way, green tea becomes more than a beverage. It becomes a ritual of protection. The warmth of the drink calms the body. The EGCG inside calms the cells. Many people notice that a cup of green tea eases mental tension. Part of that calm comes from L-theanine, an amino acid that promotes relaxed alertness, but EGCG contributes behind the scenes, creating conditions for clearer thinking, steadier focus, and healthier neural pathways. We often underestimate how lifestyle habits accumulate. A person who drinks green tea consistently over months and years is bathing their brain in protective molecules daily. Each sip delivers compounds that cross the blood-brain barrier and interact directly with brain tissue. This doesn't mean green tea makes someone smarter. Rather, it helps preserve what they already have. It provides resilience, the ability for the brain to stay sharp despite age, stress, and daily challenges. Another incredible aspect of EGCG's influence is its potential impact on protein misfolding. In neurodegenerative conditions, harmful proteins can clump together, forming plaques that interfere with neural communication. Early laboratory research suggests EGCG may help prevent some of these proteins from adopting harmful shapes. While this is not a cure and human data is still evolving, it shows how deeply EGCG interacts with the chemistry of the brain. Think of the implications. A simple plant molecule shaping the behavior of proteins, calming inflammatory cells, guarding synapses, and maintaining vascular health. This is not magic. It's biology, delicate, complex, and interconnected. When people talk about staying mentally sharp, they usually focus on puzzles, memory games, or supplements. But sharpness begins with brain health at a cellular level, and brain health begins with consistent nourishment, oxygen, blood flow, antioxidants, balanced inflammation. EGCG supports all of these quietly. And because the brain consumes so much oxygen and energy, the cumulative effect of this support can be meaningful. There's another beautiful connection to consider. The same molecule that supports the brain's longevity also enhances the brain's experience in the moment. A cup of green tea slows you down. It invites you to breathe. It anchors you. And in that calmer state, your stress responses soften. Your cognitive load lightens. You give your brain a moment of rest. EGCG works on the inside. The ritual works on the outside. Together, they create a perfect partnership. By now, you can see how EGCG influences nearly every dimension of brain health, from blood vessels to neurons, from inflammation to synapses, from resilience to long-term protection. But understanding these benefits leads us toward a new question. How do you apply this knowledge safely and practically? How much tea should you drink? How should you brew it? What about extracts? Can you combine EGCG with other foods for even better results? These questions guide us into the practical side of this journey. Because scientific knowledge becomes powerful only when transformed into daily habits. And in the final chapter, we'll explore how to bring EGCG into your life in a way that is safe, balanced, and truly aligned with how your body thrives. There's a moment every morning when the world pauses before the notifications, before the deadlines, before the rush of the day grabs hold of your attention. There is a quiet window that belongs entirely to you. In that moment, what you choose to consume can influence your hormones, your blood vessels, your cognitive clarity, and even the rate at which you age. And for millions of people around the world, that small but powerful choice begins with a warm cup of green tea. But today, I want you to see this beverage not as a drink, not as something ordinary or cultural, but as a daily ritual that communicates directly with your biology. When you sip green tea, you're not just hydrating. You are activating biochemical pathways designed to protect you. You are turning on processes that reduce dangerous inflammation, improve blood flow, cleanse your cells, and sharpen your mental focus. In essence, you are giving your body a chance to do what it was always meant to do, heal. Many people underestimate the subtle power of consistency. We live in a world of hacks and quick fixes, constantly looking for dramatic changes overnight. That mindset makes us overlook the beauty of small actions performed with intention. Green tea is one of those actions. It doesn't try to overwhelm your biology. It doesn't force a rapid change. Instead, it works like a whisper, gentle, consistent, and profoundly transformative when practiced daily. Let me take you into what actually happens when you make green tea part of your morning ritual. As you take your first sip, EGCG enters your bloodstream within minutes. Your body recognizes it immediately. What's fascinating is that EGCG behaves like a messenger, a signal molecule that awakens dormant protective systems inside your cells. One of the first systems it activates is AMPK, often called the metabolic master switch. Think of AMPK as your body's internal coach, urging cells to burn stored energy, clear out waste proteins, and optimize how you use calories. When AMPK is activated, your metabolism becomes more efficient, your fat-burning capacity increases, and your risk of metabolic disease decreases. And here's the beautiful thing. EGCG from green tea activates AMPK naturally, gently, and continuously without creating stress on your body. On your As EGCG continues its journey, it interacts with your endothelial cells, the thin layer lining your blood vessels. These cells are responsible for producing nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation. For your heart, this is priceless. Every relaxed blood vessel means lower blood pressure, easier pumping, more oxygen delivery, and reduced chance of plaque buildup. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. Over time, this single daily habit can dramatically reduce cardiovascular strain. But EGCG's intelligence doesn't stop there. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is a privilege only a handful of nutrients enjoy. Once inside your brain, it begins activating neuroprotective pathways that keep neurons healthy and functioning smoothly. It fights oxidative stress, reduces inflammation inside neural circuits, and improves communication between brain cells. This is why so many people report mental clarity, sharper focus, and reduced anxiety after making green tea their morning companion. You feel lighter, mentally clearer, more centered, not because of caffeine alone, but because your brain is being detoxified at a molecular level. One of the most overlooked benefits of green tea is its ability to support emotional health. Most people think emotional regulation is purely psychological, but biology plays a major role. Chronic inflammation affects mood, resilience, and mental stability. When EGCG lowers systemic inflammation, your brain finds it easier to maintain balance. Neurotransmitters fire more steadily. Stress hormones are better regulated. Emotional turbulence becomes less frequent. You experience a sense of calm that isn't forced. It's biological harmony. Imagine this happening not once, not occasionally, but every single morning. Imagine the compounding effect of this biological support flowing through your system day after day. Your arteries stay cleaner. Your metabolism stays sharper. Your brain stays calmer and clearer. Your cells accumulate less damage. The benefits stack over weeks, months, years. This is how you build a future version of yourself that is healthier, stronger, and more resilient. Now, I want you to realize something even more profound. Rituals are not just about results. They're about identity. When you choose green tea every morning, you're sending a message to yourself, a message that says, my health matters, my future matters, my energy matters. And when your brain receives that message enough times, this quiet ritual evolves into a lifestyle and eventually into who you are. Let's talk about how this ritual influences long-term aging. Aging isn't defined by years. It's defined by cellular wear and tear. Each time a cell replicates with damage, you age a little faster. Each time inflammation goes unchecked, your aging accelerates. EGCG's antioxidant power directly reduces the damage caused by free radicals, which are the main drivers of cellular aging. It protects your DNA, stabilizes your telomeres, and supports healthy cellular turnover. In simple terms, your cells behave younger for longer, not because of magic, but because EGCG slows down the internal processes that push you toward aging. Just imagine yourself 5 or 10 years into the future. What would happen if you simply added this small ritual to your life and stayed consistent? You'd have better heart function, cleaner arteries, a sharper brain, calmer mood, better metabolism, lower inflammation, and slower cellular aging, all from something that takes less than 2 minutes to prepare. And here's the beautiful part. Rituals expand. Once you begin practicing one powerful ritual, your brain becomes more receptive to others. Your subconscious says, we're someone who takes care of our health. Suddenly you start craving better foods, more movement, more sleep, more hydration. You don't force yourself into discipline. You evolve into it naturally. One small ritual becomes the spark that ignites bigger transformations. Green tea becomes the foundation of a new identity, one rooted in vitality, clarity, and self-respect. So tomorrow morning, when you prepare your cup, slow down just a little. Feel the warmth in your hands, inhale the natural aroma, and realize that inside that cup is a molecule capable of cleaning your cells, protecting your heart, and clearing your mind. A molecule that has traveled through centuries of history and cultures to reach you. Your health journey doesn't need to begin with a huge step. It can begin with a cup, with a moment, with a ritual, and with the profound belief that your body is designed to heal, as long as you give it the right tools. Let this ritual be your daily reminder that small choices create big change. And as you continue showing up for your health, your body will keep showing up for you in ways you never expected. Whenever you drink that simple, humble cup of green tea, know this. You are not just consuming a beverage, you are choosing a future. A stronger, clearer, more energized version of yourself. A version that begins today, in this moment, with this ritual.